Nikon makes a really cool flash because it has a system called 3D matrix metering, and what they did was they have a system that basically uses the autofocus and figures out how far the subject is from the camera as part of the calculation on when to turn the flash off. This is a really advanced TTL system, so the most important thing is to use it, and that is right here. So people ask, like, what are the settings for the camera? Make sure that this thing says TTL, and don't goof with the plus or minus buttons, because, like, for example, if you go plus or minus, it's deliberately going to overexpose or underexpose your images. You may want to goof with it thinking that you're looking at your screen and the screen says, oh yeah, this is a little too dark, so I want to crank the flash power. Don't do that, because you might ruin the picture. Your screen might just be too dark. You might be outside and the screen looks dark, so don't play with it. The TTL is nearly a perfect system. Now, there are other ways that you can screw TTL up. For example, there's different metering modes right here. You see these guys on the side, and one is a center circle. That's for spot metering. This one has like 5 different areas. That's called multi-zone metering. And this one up here, a little circle with parentheses around it, that's called center weighted metering. And you always want to have, in most situations, this thing turned to the 5-zone metering. And the reason that is because for example, if it's center weight, let's just take the example of spot metering. Spot metering measures an area about this small on the photo. So, for example, if you take a picture of me, you would have my face. Typically what people do is they autofocus in the center. So I would put the autofocus on my face right here in the center, right? And then you would hold the focus maybe by holding your finger down, and then you would recrop the camera so that my face is not like smack on in the center like this. So what happens is you would recrop me. But what happens when I'm wearing a black shirt or something? Then this dot goes down and lights up the black shirt. And what will happen with TTL is it'll keep on sending out light until the black shirt becomes 18% gray, and that would completely screw things up, because then my face would be like totally bleached out white. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to have 5-zone metering, which will take into 1, 2, 3, 4, and most importantly 5. So it basically takes in all these different zones and calculates how much does it need in terms of reflectance and everything like that, as well as distance from myself to the subject. And so it's a very complex but sophisticated program. What I'm saying is that with Nikon Flash you can rely on the multi-zone metering system and the ETTL, and it'll do a great job. If anything starts to, well, it'll do a great job other than the fact that this thing looks like a flashlight and is very unflattering to your flesh tones, which is why you use my diffusers. But if the shot is ever like underexposed, that's because you have not enough power. So, for example, if you're shooting and people are at a great distance or using diffusion products or whatever, don't be afraid to go to ISO 400, 640, 800. The modern cameras are imperceptibly noiseless, or what they call grain, but it's really noise, at ISO 800. When I used to shoot weddings, I'd shoot flash at ISO 1250. So don't be afraid of that. Remember, when you jump from ISO 400 to 800, that's twice the amount of brightness. So from 100 to 400, that's twice the amount of brightness. So for sure, rely on the camera, because it does really well. If your shots are completely blown out or screwy, or then make sure that you check your metering system so that you're not on spot or center weighted, that you're on multi-zone metering. And if it's underexposed, simply just crank up the ISO until you start getting better exposures. Hopefully that helps you use your Nikon Flash better.